So, about Dark Souls 3.
Yes, indeed. It is called Lothric. Ah, Dark Souls 3. Good old Dark Souls 3. Not too bad for From Software's third Dark Souls entry. Really not too bad. Why have I put so much time into this game? I have like 5 or 6, maybe even 7 characters that are all on New Game Plus 8, and every single one of them are like almost level 200. I've sunk so much time into this game and I have no idea why. I'm not interested in the jank hitboxes of online play, so the single player experience and the content in this game plus its DLC have been enough to keep me comfortable and happy. This game is better than Dark Souls 1 and better than Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 1 was them kind of learning and building off of Demon Souls. Dark Souls 2 was a little bit of a lateral move, but still, maybe mechanically speaking, a bit of an improvement over Dark Souls 1. Level design, they've probably learned their biggest lesson in Dark Souls 3. There's less thin little mandatory walkways that have enemy traps on them, and more open areas that have enemy traps on them. There's improvements all across the board. The spells and the way that those work are certainly an improvement over at least Dark Souls 1. Honestly, I didn't sink a lot of time into 2, so I don't remember a ton about it. It's been a while since I played it. But Dark Souls 1, yeah, like the spell system, how there was just like a limit of spells that you can use, and the way that worked compared to 3 is 3's better. This is, again, the culmination of everything that they've learned from the previous games. This is probably the kind of game, mechanically speaking, that they wanted to make from the beginning, but, really couldn't do it because they were still learning how to do things like this. So, yeah, this is certainly the culmination and my favorite of them. Bloodborne notwithstanding, because when you're talking about Bloodborne, they group them together, but I don't know if the lore is exactly the same. Not the point. Point that I'm getting at is, yeah, this game has got what it takes to hook me. And I don't know why. I'm not really real big into dying all the time. So I try to build my characters to the point where I'm not dying all the time. And I think that's what motivates me to keep playing this game. Like every character that I have built, I have them built differently because of the massive variety of weapons and armor and skills and things like that you're allowed to have with your characters. The amount of everything that you get is staggering. There's just so much variety. Every time I get a new weapon that has a unique weapon art, I'm like, oh, let's see if I'm just gonna build a whole character around this weapon. Like, if you're motivated to build an entire new character just because of a specific weapon and what its weapon art has, then you've built a game with some good depth. And aside from the brutal difficulty of enemies like 1 or 2 shotting you, and you have like a full set of max armor, is just, I don't know, it's brutal and it's minuscule, and it doesn't make a difference. I found that if you're wearing like the full like Smo's armor set, like the whole thing with all of your max stat investment, or if you're a character who just crawled out of the grave buck naked, you can only take like 1 or 2 hits more than you would otherwise. It's not even that big of a difference. So defense means very little, and that's why Fashion Souls is definitely something that exists. I just love how much content they packed into the game, and God, is this game beautiful. This is a pretty game. Like that's From Software's reputation now. Like if you go on like From Software's Wikipedia page, they used to make like almost like Candy Crush kind of games, like back in the day. That surprised me. I'm like, how do you go from like Candy Crush to this? That's nuts to me. But whatever. And shoot fireballs at this guy. Whatever. Get your ass. Okay. I guess I didn't hit him in that particular instant. But yeah, this game's nuts. I love all the stuff that they packed in here. I love how like in Lost Izalith you can find like the old dead Quilana down there. That's hilarious how you could like see the corpse. The Easter eggs is crazy. I love how like if you decide to attack Henri and Horus, if you kill Horus, Henri just gives up. just gives the fuck up. I don't want to fight no more. I'm just gonna die. That's a poor decision. I mean, Horus was never gonna be around forever anyway. I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't understand why someone would do that. But yeah, these like hidden quest lines that you get to do with Cirrus of the Sunless Realms and the fingers of the Cathedral of the Deep and finding Rosaria and all that. That's all crazy. The whole like Uria quest line with Henri, the Egon eventually like killing himself and his body's just chilling at the undead settlement. Like you can go on and on and on. Even the mechanics like how you can treat mimics. Like you can poison a mimic before it comes out of its chest. You can see it breathing if you go up to a chest and like look at it. Those kind of details are amazing in Dark Souls. It really is. Like the fact that in New Game Plus 2 you can like combine the prince's swords together if you transpose both of them and then make like one super sword that has like both of their weapon arts. Who thinks of this? Like I don't know. It's just the depth in these video games are ridiculous these days, and From Software is someone that I think a lot of developers should learn from and just figure things out, because my goodness, have they got it sorted. I mean, they got it sorted to the point where Elden Ring better be, I don't know what it better be. It better be the greatest thing anyone's ever played ever. I don't know what to expect out of it. I don't know what that game is going to be about. It's shrouded in mystery, but if that's From Software's next big project or even big franchise, if they're going to be like Elden Ring 2, Elden Ring 3, whatever, then it you know, they've learned so much from these games and from how they want Bloodborne to play, to how they want the Souls games to play, to how they want the movement in Sekiro to be. Like, with all that being said, yeah, Elden Ring's going to be, or better be, like the best game I've ever played. But back to Dark Souls 3. Outside of Elden Ring, we're not talking about that right now. I like how you can trigger the dancer early, and then you can make it, I mean, by my figuring, because I couldn't make it any further than that. After triggering the dancer, you know, of course, you can go and fight Oceros, and you can go and you can fight Champion Gundyr and get the Eyes of the Firekeeper and do all that stuff. But as far as just like straight progress, you can make it, by my figuring, right past Dragon Slayer armor, and you can make it right up to the Grand Archives. And then once you get there, you just can't get through that door, the key's not there, etc. But yeah, I've even had the game like glitch out on me before, just doing all that. I don't know why that's the case. I guess you're not supposed to do it, but was it intentional? I'm pretty sure it was intentional. Like, that's kind of a big slip up if it's like, oh, if you kill her, the dancer comes out, you fight the dancer super early, and then whoops, it's a big hiccup. So I'm pretty sure that that's something that they must have done on purpose. I mean, and then either way, if it's on purpose, cool, but if it isn't, that's fine too, because either way you get to do something pretty cool there with it, and then make it further in the game than you think, and get some loot from that point in the game that you wouldn't ordinarily have if you just, you know, went straight to Vort and went straight to the settlement and just continue the game as normal. So I do like, you know, how the paths diverge and branch a little bit. Like on my very first playthrough of this game, I was a bit confused as to what to do next and where to go. But on my like 51st playthrough of this game, I know all the secrets and tips and tricks, and I can't find any new ones. Even going online and saying, hey, what don't I know about? Turns out I know about like all the things. So there's not a whole lot that I don't realize at this point about this game. Even like obscure secrets and stuff. If you guys know any that is so incredibly obscure that even the internet at large probably doesn't know about it, you know, let me know. Put it in a comment. If I read it, I'll pin that. I'll pin that to the top. That's kind of crazy. Anything outside of a glitch, obviously. If it's like a one-off glitch, and it's not really a secret or anything like that. The builds in this game are kind of crazy, and I've found viability with every build. I have a character who is every build that you can imagine, except for a pure sorcerer. That's the only one that I've tried multiple times and can't seem to make it like work effectively in this game, using just straight up sorceries and being successful all game long. It seems like everything in the game almost, I'm talking about like, you know, Crystal Soul Spear and all the various other ones, and the Farron Darts and just sorcery, even the Great Soul Dregs and everything. That's probably like one of the best of them. There are good sorceries, don't get me wrong, but using a build that's based entirely, like you just want to be a wizard and everything you cast is a sorcery, you're probably gonna have a hard time. At least I did. I just, like I said, I couldn't make it work. Miracle builds, like cleric builds using lightning and stuff, I found that to be extremely effective. You know, straight up being a knight and just attacking stuff with a sword or with just a weapon and maxing that weapon out as much as you can, I found that to be extremely effective. Everything, I found it to be very, very effective at getting it done, except for sorceries. So I don't know why that got the shaft. Like when I think sorcery, I'm thinking some Harry Potter shit, like some stuff where you're gonna do some magical things and results are gonna happen. I know if I was a wizard or what would be considered a sorcerer in real life, I would be like the greatest of all time. Ain't nobody gonna be able to hang with my stuff. I'm gonna do some tricky things, and it's not gonna be pleasant for anybody I'm doing some tricky things to. Like I don't know if you've ever seen a horror movie, one specifically that has some sort of nightmare monster that uses some Freddy Krueger shit, but yeah, that's hard to stop. So that being said, that's what I think. But Dark Souls just kind of does it where it's like, yeah, you're gonna shoot projectiles and most of the game is gonna resist it, and that's just about the limit of sorceries. Like Pestilent Mercury, I think they changed the name, Pestilent Mist or something like that, but I still like to call it Pestilent Mercury because that's what it was originally called. You know, that's an amazing one. I use that to kill Midir, like solely to kill Midir. It almost doesn't matter what build I have. I make sure that they have just enough in their stat spreads to be able to do that move, because I don't feel like dealing with Midir ever. Whenever I go in there, I'm like, I just want this match to be over. This isn't all that fun to me. It's not all that epic. His health pool's too huge. So you use Pestilent Mercury and just have him stand in it, and you can have him dead in no time. And you know, it's good. It's good to have options. The character that you're seeing, that's mini Dragon Slayer armor here, he's the only one where I don't Pestilent Mercury Midir. I just go in with this axe and just straight up take him down with this axe. That's the only way this guy knows how to fight. And this is one of my favorites, despite him being a very one-dimensional character. He's one of my favorite overall builds. All of his stats are so spread out so nicely, and boy does he do a lot of damage to just about everything. Even stuff that's supposed to resist electricity takes, you know, a healthy chunk. It takes a good healthy chunk of health away from them, so at least there's that. While running through the game for the footage for this, I skipped a lot of secrets. I do realize that. There's a lot of places I didn't go and a lot of things I didn't collect and all that. You know, I know about all that stuff. I only kind of did what I felt like doing, and mostly I just wanted to get kind of to the end in a lot quicker of a manner than I ordinarily would. But that being said, yeah, this is great. The whole game is just well done, and it shines in most places. It's not as comfort food type gameplay to me as say like a Super Smash Brothers would be, but I can still go back to this game if I'm in the mood to just go through and wreck shop with a character like this, or go through and have the kind of challenge where every single enemy can basically one-shot me regardless of what armor I'm wearing. It doesn't sound fun on paper, but you know, it's more fun than you think. Or rather, if you're watching this video, you're probably also an aficionado of Dark Souls, or Dark Souls 3 specifically maybe, and you understand that it is more of a fun experience than anybody thinks it is. That being said, where this game really shines, and I'll talk about it a little later on in the video, but where this game really shines is its bosses. This game would lose probably, and I don't know if this figure is accurate in most of your minds, but I'll explain why. This game is probably at least 40% less enjoyable if you took all the bosses out of the game. And the reason why I only took 40 off of it is because this game's enemies, its regular enemies, are so challenging and well designed for the most part that the entire game does shine off of the strength of its lore, its stories, its build, its secrets, and the design of its regular enemies. To where the bosses are going to take, yes, a massive chunk out of how enjoyable the game is, but it's still not going to be that. It's not going to completely kill the game. I guarantee you I wouldn't have as many playthroughs as I do have, with as many characters as I do have, without these bosses in the game. So they do mean a lot. I mean, if you're really thinking about it, 40 out of 100 is a pretty good amount. That's like how much HP a regular enemy in this game will take from me. So, but I digress. I want to talk a little bit about fashion souls. That is something that is kind of important when you consider the mechanics of Dark Souls. So just like I touched on earlier, the mechanics of Dark Souls kind of make it so that when your character has a lot of heavy armor on compared to when your character is buck-ass nude, they take very similar amounts of damage, which that's just how From Software wants it, I guess. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but it is what it is. Like, I understand when you consider the size of the giant sword that some of these knights have, it is ridiculous, the giant boss attacks and all that, but I want my armor to matter. At least more than it does. Like I said, it does matter, but I tested it myself, and like I said, full Smaug's armor set with some investment in the stat spreads towards the defensive end, and I can take 1 or 2 more hits than I could buck naked from most enemies, and that's minuscule. That's terrible. That means that there's really no point in wearing anything. I mean, other than the way that you look, and that's where Fashion Souls comes in. Dress the way you want. Is fully my recommendation in Dark Souls at this point. Don't worry about the armor values and stuff like that. Like I said, it does matter. It'll let you take a hit or 2 more, but it doesn't matter so much where that's gonna, really be the difference. That boss that you're struggling on is, I guess, what I'm saying. If you're facing that boss and that boss is whooping your ass repeatedly, then you're still gonna struggle on it when you put that big heavy armor set on. It's just now you're probably gonna have fat guy roll because you don't have proper investment, and respecking your character with Rosaria is annoying to have to do all the damn time. They are very generous with the amount of times per playthrough you can do it, but not the point. Point is that's what you're gonna be going through, is having your armor not matter nearly as much as it should. So if you want it to matter, too bad. Go in there buck-ass nude if that's how you feel. Like, I would watch these Dark Souls videos on YouTube a while ago, and those videos would show people who would just go in with a twinkling dragon head and a twinkling dragon torso and all that, and they would just put all kinds of buffs on them that I don't quite understand too much. I guess enough buffs to where you could go into Pontiff Sullivan, and then you can repost him, you can smack his swords away, and once you parry his ass, then you could immediately kill him, like one shot from full health. And I'm like, that is possible? That's crazy. I never tried that because I can't do that. It seems like the buff stacking required is ridiculous, and I don't want to be a skinny little reindeer looking guy that's supposed to be passing himself off as a dragon. So that's that, I suppose. But either way, not the point. Point is Fashion Souls is something that is a thing, and something that I do recommend. While these armors do look awesome, feel free to wear the one that you think looks the most awesome, is I guess what I'm saying here. And I want to touch a little bit at this point on going back to builds. I want to touch a little bit on pyro builds. That is probably in Dark Souls most likely the reason I didn't, when I was talking about builds earlier, the reason I didn't touch on it or talk about it is because it's most likely the most overpowered build in this game particularly. So a friend of mine, when he decided to make his character, he decided to crawl out of the grave as just a little buck naked perfect stat spread and keep it that way the entire time coming out of the grave. So as soon as he came out, every single time he leveled up, it was just 1 stat at a time. Went right down the line all the way down. I think except for luck is the only one that he left off. So by the time he's like level 150, he has perfect stat spreads all the way down. And I'm like, you know how difficult it is to play Dark Souls that way? But he made it work. And he decided to be a pyro, specifically, as he likes to put it, throw mini suns at people. And now, of course, he's referring to the Great Chaos Orb and Chaos Bed Vestiges and those kind of moves. So he's referring to that. And, there's really not a lot in the game that's gonna put up with it. As long as you can endure in some of the boss fights that would, say, resist fire, for example. If you can endure, you can have enough Ashen Estus Flask to keep your magic going enough to where that's going to be an effective way to kill some folks. And that's not even a game. That's like a good play style. And yeah, it takes a lot of magic to do it, but you'll be able to make it from bonfire to bonfire that way, so no problem. The one that we have on screen here is I decided to make like a black witch, so she mostly uses black flame and those kind of pyromancies and stuff. I tried to do like the black sorceries also, but those aren't very good, other than the great dregs, and I'm not going to commit to like a sorcerer's staff just so I can have the great dregs. So I decided to build her this way instead, and building her this way ended up being a pretty good idea, considering that dark damage and I'm not just talking about really dark damage as far as like physical attacks, like if you have a sword and it's equipped with like a dark gem or something, but rather dark sorceries and dark pyromancies tend to make opponents stagger, and they help promote like shield breaks and things of that nature. So this also ended up being a pretty effective style outside of just having the style be, you know, what it is. The style of just, oh hey, I'm gonna burn you all the time. Dark damage is distinctly different even if it's in fire form. So I don't quite understand Dark Souls logic on that. I feel like they should still catch on fire. Or maybe it should be black. I'm not really sure. I just think that the best way to go and the best course of action here with it would be to do the staggers and things of that nature, but I want them to like catch on fire still the same way they do fire damage, so it's just an overall upgrade from regular fire. That's kind of how I want to do it. But this video is getting quite long, so to end it off, I just want to talk a little bit more and go in depth with the bosses. The bosses, like I said, are the highlight of the game, and in my opinion make up for 40% of the game's enjoyment all on their own, and that's a pretty big percentage when you consider, you know, how much a game, especially one like Dark Souls, has to it and how much that it has to offer. So with Dark Souls, God, you really want to whoop that ass. With Dark Souls, what you want to do is get from boss room to boss room, experience that, and then just kind of the journey getting from one boss room to the other should be just nothing. It should be negligible. All you want to do is get to that next boss, that next challenge, because that's all the fun. And yes, what I do before anybody says anything, I do like to summon the NPCs for my boss fights to help me, because what I'm in this game for, and every game for, is to have fun. I'm not in it so people can be like, oh, get good, scrub, or whatever. I've beaten all of these bosses alone, every single one of them, multiple times. But I find to have the most fun experience when I can go aggro to aggro and balance keeping my partner alive while they aggro the boss and I have time to heal or do cool stuff. It's just straight up more fun when there's somebody there. And because I don't have online services, because that's not the kind of gamer I am, I'm a single player guy, then I summon the NPCs and they help out when necessary. And then the bosses that don't have any NPCs available to summon, then I just beat them by myself. I don't like to, but it is what it is. Like, for some reason, the Champion's Grave Tender, even though they have really, really bad defense and almost anything you do really, really juts that boss's health bar down, that thing really gives me fits, man. I don't know what it is about that boss, but it pisses me all the way off, and it really gets on my nerves. I end up having to do that boss over and over again. So, you know, the bosses are the highlight. And Vort, I know I decided to show him. Probably not one of the bosses I should have shown, but when I went to each character, I'm at different points in the story with every character. So because I'm at different points in the story, I just decided to go with whatever the next boss was in the docket and use that for my footage. So yes, obviously I have the DLC, but you know, showing Midir and Gale and Sister Freed and all that, I just decided not to go that route because I would have to take more time in order to get the video out, and I just didn't feel like doing that. So the bosses chosen are just based on where the characters were in the story. Why are we doing Soul Ascender? Because I beat every single boss as of this playthrough, including all the DLC bosses, and did everything that there is to do, and found all the hidden areas, and did everything. And this is like New Game Plus 6 or something with this particular character, so I'm like, alright, here's what it is. Miracle build, by the way. So, of course, they're not bad, at least in my opinion. So, what other build suggestions do they have? I do have one that's like a luck build. That one's not too bad. Use Henri's sword and then like a bigger sword that has a hollow gem. Those are always pretty good. If you can actually invest in luck, it's a good alternative to strength and all that. I know that Havel the Rock, I want to talk about him a little bit, isn't a boss, but what inspired me to put him on my montages of bosses here is that he could whoop a boss's ass. For sure. I don't know who it was. It's not Vadi Vidya. It's someone else that made a video, and they made the video about Havel defeating all the bosses by himself. They just like modded the bosses into Havel's arena, and then once they modded that, then they just had him face all the bosses, and he whooped most bosses' asses by himself, and that's pretty good. They also had him go against regular enemies, but obviously they don't stand a chance. Havel had me intrigued before, because I built a build around specifically him. I took one of my characters that was the highest level, I respec'd them so they had like the highest defensive stats available and all that. I put the full Havel set on with Dragon's Tooth, and even though I tried to fight exactly like Havel, I died way faster than Havel does. So I'm like, you know what, you can never achieve defenses like that then. That's I mean, pretty official. If somebody knows how, let me know. But for the most part, in my opinion, you can't really achieve defenses the way that Havel has it set up, because if you try, then it's not going to work out so well there for you. So then, that is about it on Dark Souls 3. Not much more to talk about in regards to the game. Love it or hate it, it is what it is, and I think it's a solid experience. I recommend it, even if it's not your kind of game. At least give it a shot so you can jump on the Dark Souls bandwagon and let people know, oh, hey, I played it before, I got good, as the way that it's spelled is not the way that people say it. But anyway, that should about wrap it up.
Dark Souls 3 is an excellent game at the end of the day. If you don't mind dying a lot, and if you don't mind a steep difficulty curve, there's enough content in this game, enough enemy variety, enough build options, and enough weapons and spells to keep you busy for quite a long time, even without having online services. So it is with a heavy heart that I have to give this game just below a perfect score on my scale with a 4 out of 5. And with that, guys, I'd like to thank you for staying so sexy on the line. And you guys have a good one.